Hi everyone, I just wanted to run through the Tesla Model S center screen for you this afternoon. It's one of the best features of this car. I'm going to run through the top row, followed by the screens, and then the bottom row of this screen. So this screen is 17-inch in size, sits right in the middle of the center dashboard. The top left corner you can see you can unlock and lock the car. This brings up the charging screen, tells you how many kilometers are left on my current charge at the moment. It can tell you how much to set your charge, whether you wanted to charge a bit higher or a bit lower. Tesla recommends you charge about 80% of your battery every day. And you can press in little increments, or you can drag the slider along as far as you want. Press done when you're done. Charge current depends on your actual charger, how many amps you want to charge your car at. You can schedule your charging on at certain times to take advantage of off-peak charging rates. So you can charge any time of the day you like. And it's geolocated, so it'll remember the location you're at and always remember what time you want to set it at as well. This is your profile. So this is my profile. I like my seats at a certain height and my steering wheel at a certain height as well. So that'll remember your preferences. It'll remember your mirrors as well. And it's got multiple preferences, so you can store a few driver profiles. You can go to the settings. You can add new drivers as well. So you can also put it in valet mode. Valet mode essentially means all your settings will be kept secret if you give your car over to a valet, or if you're servicing a Tesla, or you're lending your car to somebody you don't fully trust, or you don't want them to see your settings, then you can keep it on valet, which is quite handy. Then you can put your settings back. Okay, so I've reset my settings, then the seat, as you can see, is moving back to my original position, which is quite good. The T button tells you the name of your car, which you can always change. My car is now called Electric Blue. There are certain Easter eggs you can plug in that gives up some interesting names. Like if you type in 42, it'll give a little Easter egg from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'll let you figure that out for yourself if you have a Tesla. It tells you how many kilometers I've driven so far. Sorry, the current version that this car is currently at. If you press release notes, it will tell you what's new in the current update that was recently updated. So I won't go through that. There's quite a few notes you can read for yourself. If you want roadside assistance, there's a phone number there for you to quickly touch if your phone is paired with your car. If you press this slidey hamburger menu up here, there are a couple of Easter eggs you can access. That is your screen pad, which Ion Ivy has started drawing. So you can press publish to send that to Tesla. You can clear the screen from there. I won't do that just yet. I think she's halfway through that piece of work. So it'll go into Santa mode for this one. That one I haven't tried yet. I think the lights and the music come on, so I won't do that just yet because I'm in a public place. That might freak some people out. This one turns your map into Mars mode, so that will bring up Mars, and your car will turn into a Mars buggy, and your car will turn into a space shuttle, I guess. Okay, so that's the Bluetooth button. We saw that before. Tells you the different profiles you can set up with your car. So I've got Joyrider and myself with the phones that it can pair if it wants to. This is the network. So currently it's on the 3G network, which Tesla supplies for free with this car. If you've got a Wi-Fi at home, you can certainly hook it up to that Wi-Fi, and it will download software updates a bit quicker. That's the time. This button here is for the music. So there are 4 things you can pick with the music. The radio, which it's AM, FM band, and there's some stations there you can pick from in the local area. AM, you can tune yourself if you like. It'll pick up the local stations in Sydney, which is where I am currently. So that's the radio. The Spotify, which I'll just pause that for a sec. So Spotify, this is Ion Ivy's choice with Lego Friends, but you can Spotify, you get a free account with Tesla, or you hop onto Tesla's account, which is free. As you can see, it's quite good. It's basically Spotify in this car. All your favorite albums are there, your artists. Your playlists will be there too. All the featured playlists, the new releases, the different genres. All quite handy. So that's Spotify. You can also search for whatever you want as well in here. So load up the songs you want to play. It's also voice activated if you're driving and you don't want to touch the screen, and gives you a list of things you can choose from. It's quite extensive, really. TuneIn is the digital radio. So my favorite radio stations are up here. It also gives you some podcasts and the top stations around the world. You can also browse for stations by location. If you've used TuneIn before, you know what I mean. Excuse me. You can also sign into your own TuneIn account. Phone, if you plug your phone in, you can play your own music from your phone as well. So you can connect that via Bluetooth or via the USB cable. So that is the music part of it. The map, this is currently Mars. If you want to get out of the Mars setup, then you can press the Earth button. It will come up. You can put up in full screen. So this button here will give you a couple of options. Currently it's on the direction you are facing, so it's between east and southeast. You can have the map facing north up, so north will be this way, and your car will be facing that way. So it tells you where you are currently. I'm in Taramara at the moment. You can zoom in, zoom out, like any map function. It's fairly quick, fairly responsive, and you can do a couple of things. You can have it in satellite mode, so Google Earth kind of view, if you want it this way. You can also have the traffic on and off. So I find the traffic quite handy, especially in Sydney, so you know what's coming up ahead of you. You put the traffic back on. You can find out where the nearest supercharger stations are. It'll tell you there's obviously one in St Leonard's and the new one in Broadway that's come up, and tells you all the destination charges as well. So that's quite handy, and it'll, if I wanted to go to Broadway, I'll click that. Then it will pop up all the different details about it.
80 meters, turn right onto Taramara Avenue.
As you can see, the map is quite big, so you're never going to strain as you're driving. If you click on, let me just see. If you click on a supercharger, let's say just go to Broadway, it'll give you the details of that supercharger. So there's a restroom there, food, drink, and there's shopping as well. The 120 kilowatt, which is the standard of a supercharger, gives you the address. All very handy. You can adjust how loud you want your navigation voice. So I'm on 1 because I don't like it too loud. You can also mute it if you want. If you don't like the map so big, let's just cancel this trip. If you don't want your map so big, you can just press this icon here in the bottom left corner. It'll resize it for you. You can have it full screen or half screen. So that's the map. It's pretty handy. You can zoom out all the way to basically the world view, like that. See how far we can go out here. That's about it in the local area. Then you can zoom right all the way in, down to human level. Yeah, gives you the view of our city. So that's quite good. I'll put it back to where we are. And I'll take satellite off. I just like having the map view. That's the map. There's the calendar. I haven't Bluetoothed my phone because I need to use my microphone for my video. So, but if you wanted to, you can connect your phone, and that'll pop up that same screen again to connect your phone. You can pair your device accordingly. So that'll show up your calendar for the day. That's also quite good because it'll have your address of the place, your next appointment. You can just press that address, it'll pop up with the navigation, so it's all nicely integrated. This is the energy screen, so it's 2 different screens on this bit. Consumption is what you've used in the last 10, 25 and 50 kilometers. It'll give you your average, so 197 watt hours per kilometer, which is about roughly the average that I travel at normally. Last 50 I've done 202, last 25 I've done 189, last 10 I've done 197. With that in mind, it will project you how much range you've got left on your battery. So I've got 234 kilometers left with that in mind. 243 if I'm traveling at 189, 227 if I'm going at 202. That's for the average range. It will also give you the instant range, so the most recent power that I've used. I've got actually a longer range compared to my average over the last 50 kilometers, it'll give me less range. So that's quite a handy statistic to have. This trip won't have anything if you don't have a navigated trip currently. If you do the supercharger on Broadway, it'll give you the calculated energy required to get there. So if you start at 68% currently, if you were to get there with traveling, basically the route it recommends, and at the energy that you've been traveling at, you will get to 62% when you get to your destination. If you deviate from that course, or if you're accelerating a bit more, or you're driving a bit slower, that line, there will be an actual real-time line compared to the predicted line, and you can see where you're at energy-wise according to how you're driving currently. So that's quite a handy feature as well. I should also show you this little icon here. You can swap the two screens around if you'd rather have the map down the bottom. So you can switch it back as well. That is the rear view camera, so I can see what's behind me, and this is in real time as well. So as you're driving, you can have the camera on at all times, unlike other cars where it only pops up if you're reversing. Again, you can switch that around, so have that down the bottom, up the top. The only thing that does full screen is the map, so everything else is half screen. Music is kind of full screen, but let's just say, for example, if I choose a song from this playlist, just a random playlist, I'll just choose that one. Just turn it down a little bit, so you can have that full screen like this. So you can have the playlist, and then you can have what's, the information about the current song you're playing. So what playlist it's at, what song you're playing, what artist. That's quite self-explanatory. That's quick links to your radio stations if you want to choose something else quickly. You can shuffle the playlist. You can repeat the playlist. You can keep that as a favorite. So if you press plus, it'll keep that to your favorite playlist on Spotify as well. If you want to go back to the playlist, press Hot Hits Australia, and you'll see the full playlist as a full screen. So this is the only full screen, and the map is the only full screen as well. Just pause that for 1 sec. So I've done the rear view camera. This last one is the phone. So the phone is not connected currently, but if it was to be connected, you can dial using a dial pad for whatever number you wanted. You can also voice activate using the built-in voice activation to call from your contact list as well. Down the bottom here of the screen, you've got volume control, which is quite self-explanatory. You can roll your wheel here on the steering wheel. That'll change as well. So that's a bit loud. So you can turn it down and roll it down like that. Pressing it pauses the song. There's a forward and a back button on the steering wheel. That is to make the seat hot. 3 to 1, so different levels of heat. That's air conditioning. There is a sync temp, so you can have it the same temperature on both sides, or you can just have whatever you want on your side. That's only for the front row. The back row doesn't have that same feature. So you can hear it powering up because I've turned the temperature down. Let's sync it back again. That's the air conditioning settings. So you can have air conditioning on or off, or just the fan. You can have it on airflow coming in, or you can just have it on current circulation. That's the feed only to the face or to the body, and that's for the screen and for the people. That's fairly self-explanatory as well. You can turn the fan down and up. So these are all customizable, or you can reset and let the car decide what's best for you currently, based on what temperature you've chosen. This is a relatively new feature to keep climate on. So if you press on and you leave your car and lock your car, it will keep the air conditioning running the whole time. Say if you're going to the shops and if it's a hot day but you want to keep your car cool, or if you've got some groceries in the car, you want to quickly duck out to another shop to get something else, keep the air conditioning running, which is quite handy. Just have a note here, the climate will stay on after you leave the car, will turn off when battery reaches 20%. So it'll run the car battery down to 20%, and then the air conditioning will switch off to save battery, so you can actually drive away from your location. So quite handy to have. Good too if you're doing school pickup and it's a hot day. Keep that feature on, go pick up your son or daughter, come back and the car is nicely air conditioned. Creature comforts, right? So that's quite good. That's the demister for the back. That's demister for the front. You can have it on high or low. So that's quite good. That's the seat warmer for the other side. And this is the hub of the car. So the controls button brings up basically every customizable option you can think of for this car. So that charging button we've already explored using that shortcut there in that top corner, so I won't go through it anymore. You can open your charge port as well from this button. There's a couple of ways to open your charge port. That's one of them through the software. Let's go back to the settings. So you can open your sunroof this way. So I won't open it too much because the camera is attached to the roof. You might have seen the screen moving, so I can close it that way. You can sort of, if you change your mind, you can quickly stop, and it'll stop for you and close. You can fully open it if you like, and again, if you want to change your mind, you can stop, and then we'll go back if you want to as well. Suspension. Now this car has air suspension. If you wanted to raise the suspension in real time at any time, you can go back to very high, standard, or you can press low. Low is not really recommended unless you're traveling on freeway at high speeds, and there's a setting here that you can adjust that to lower the car automatically to any speed you like. So I normally have it at 110, or you can have it at never or as always. So 110 is about freeway speed in this city, so I leave it on that. Yes, I want to proceed. See, it says don't use it too much because it'll damage the underside of the car if you have ground clearance at lower speeds. Yep, got that. Jack I haven't used, but I assume that sort of helps change tires. I'll have to look that up. Driving, so this is relatively new as well. Tesla is known for its acceleration. Chill mode, I guess if you don't like that feeling of being in a roller coaster, you can set it so it doesn't accelerate too quickly. I quite like that myself, so I'll go back to standard. Steering mode refers to how stiff you want the steering and the car to feel. So I like it on standard. I don't like it too stiff or loose. Regen braking, that basically means you can drive with one pedal. If you let go of the pedal and you're driving, it'll slow the car down and the energy will go back into the battery. I guess if you don't like that, you can have it on low as well. Standard increases range and extends battery life, it sure does. Traction control, have not used, haven't been stuck in the mud or snow yet in this car. Creep refers to feeling like an automatic car in a normal combustion engine car, where if you're stopped at the lights, the car will roll forward slowly. If you turn creep off, which is what I like, and you put the brakes on, or even if you don't have the brakes, it'll stop if it's on a flat. So I like that feeling. I don't like the car rolling forward. Plus it uses energy as well. Range mode, if you're going on a long road trip, it's good to have. Range mode will save energy by reducing climate control power. It also distributes torque between the motors to improve range. Heating or cooling the cabin may be less effective, so I don't have it on day to day, but if you're going on a road trip, do that. I was told by the store guys at St. Leonard's not to have it on from day to day driving. Just quickly down here, you can control the car doors and the trunk and the front using the software. So you can open the trunk this way, you can lock and unlock your car that way. You can open your charge port, so that's another way to open your charge port. Open the boot that way as well. I won't do because I'm in a public place. I don't want that boot to open up. You can customize your dome, so your interior lights on automatic, on, off. See the lights going off. Automatic. Auto high beam, again relatively new. This feature is for if you're at night time, the lights will come on high beam if you're driving and there are no cars around, there's no lights, but if a car is oncoming, it'll quickly switch it off. So I found that quite responsive actually. I've used that before. Exterior lights, currently on automatic, but you can turn on your lights, and as you can see in this car, it comes on in real time just to tell you what's happening. You can just have the park lights on, or you can have it off completely. But I found that these lights are always on if your car is powered, regardless. So I'll leave it back on auto. The screen's also, the brightness setting is automatic, so if it'll adjust according to ambient light, which I found quite handy as well. So and there's a night mode that comes on. I'm not sure whether it's a certain time or it just uses the sunset time, it knows because it's talking to the internet the whole time. So I'll have to check that as well. Trips, so that's your trip computer. The current trip, I've traveled 6.3 kilometers at 21 minutes at my average energy. You can see what my last trip was. Since my last charge this morning, I've traveled 31 kilometers. I've used almost 7 kilowatt hours of my battery, which is about 10%. So the odometer shows you how many kilometers I've done. You can also set how many kilometers you've done on this current trip as well. You can always reset that. You can reset trip B. Let's reset that, so I go back to 0. Displays, like I said before, it'll auto adjust according to the ambient lighting. You can also do that yourself if you like, but it'll always sort of naturally adjust. You've got automatic for display mode. Like I said, it'll talk to the internet and work out when to go back to night mode. See, on night mode, it sort of inverts the light, the screen, so it's easier to see at night time. Obviously it's daytime now, so I'll go back to day. I'll just use auto, it'll fix it for me. Clean mode's quite good. Screen does get quite dirty, and Tesla gives you a little cloth which you can then use to clean your screen like this, so you don't stuff up any of the controls. And then when you're ready, Electric Evan showed me this tip. He thought of this himself, so he presses the screen with the cloth so you don't dirty what you've done, and you're back to your screen, so that's quite good. Energy saving, now this means the car will switch off if it's inactive for a little while. I'm not sure how long. Does this tell me? Significantly less energy will be consumed when your car is not in use, though startup time of the instrument panel and Bluetooth could be slower. Okay, off energy saving mode activated only during nighttime hours. Okay, well that's what I find with my energy saving. It does take a little while to come back on, but not much longer, maybe 5-6 seconds compared to instantaneous. I'm happy to wait 5-6 seconds to save a bit of energy. E-brake, I haven't played with too much, so that's vehicle. Okay, so that's one way to switch the car off completely. Apparently normally the car is not really off. I mean, if it's in park, that'll do. I just walk out normally. But if you want to turn the car off, you can do that this way. Yeah, so I don't know too much about the e-brake. I have to look that one up as well. Okay. So settings. Okay, so that you can add a new profile, like I said before. This one's a bit blank. There's only 2 main apps, and there's not much you can do with them. There's some settings here. I mean, trip planner. Yeah, I mean that's avoid ferries, avoid tolls. Estimated, always show estimated round trip energy. Yep, you know that. Calendar settings. So show calendar upon entry in the morning. Never morning and evening. Always. Driver profiles have been through. Units and formats. You can have it in kilometers or miles. 24-hour, 12-hour time. Celsius, Fahrenheit. You can have your charge left in energy settings, whether in a percent setting, sorry, or you can have it in distance setting. Rated means what Tesla recommends. Typical is based on your average. I like to see what I've driven. See, I've just noticed that on my dashboard, rated is 305 kilometers left, whereas my typical is 241 left. So obviously I drive more than. I use more energy than they think an average driver should use. You can check your tire pressure using the bar setting or PSI. I like PSI because that's what I'm used to. Vehicle settings, mirror auto tilt on or off, so that the side mirrors tilt if you're reversing or if you're parking. That's quite handy to have. Mirror folds in when you've parked the car. Definitely like that if you're in a shopping centre. Headlights, I like that on as well, just to guide the way if you've exited the vehicle. Smart preconditioning is, so if you are about to come in, I think it turns the air conditioning on for you. Here you go. By learning your driving schedule, smart preconditioning can automatically prepare the vehicle before you drive. I don't know, I still find it a bit weird that the aircon comes on for me when I'm not in the car, so I'd like to turn this off. Like if I'm in the garage and suddenly the aircon comes on, I don't know, just not my thing at the moment. I don't know, some people probably like that. Cabin overheat protection. Now this is good because the fan will come on if it's a hot day and the battery overheats or the car gets too hot. The fan, the coolant will come on. So a few more settings for the doors. Door unlock mode. So the doors will unlock if you unlock the car with your fob, or if you approach it with your fob. Child protection lock. If you like your kids secured in the back cabin, back row, you can turn that on, or you can have it off. You can have this off and on in real time as well. So if you want to let your son or daughter out of the car, if you're dropping them off, then you can have it. You can have it on as you're parking the car, and then put it back on. Have it off when they're about to exit the vehicle, and then put it back on when they've exited the vehicle. So that's quite good. Auto percent handles, very cool. The handles come out as you unlock the door, or as you get closer to the door. Walk away door lock. I don't like having this on because when I park my car in the garage, I like having the car unlocked in case I need to get in quickly to get something out or put something in. I don't want to have to always use my fob to unlock my car. Unlock on park, so that's quite good. When the car's in park, the doors will unlock for you. Passive entry, not too sure about. I will check that for you. Safety and security, park assist chimes, that's just all the warnings that come off if you're reversing or getting close to an obstacle. Security alarm on. Privacy mobile access, data sharing, what does it say? Okay, so that's letting Tesla know about your movements. Look, well, I'm essentially driving a test vehicle really, or a beta vehicle, some people call it. So yeah, if anything that can help Tesla improve their vehicles using what I've done with this car, that's fine. I'm happy to do that. So been through this before, that's the screen. Driver assistance, lane departure warning, I don't like that because it gets annoying. I've driven cars with that feature where the chimes go off if you're veering out of the lane. Sometimes you need to avoid something. Speed limit warning, again, I don't like to have the chime, it's just far too annoying. Display is a little indicator will come on your dashboard. It picks up the traffic. There must be a camera on the side of the car, on both sides, to pick up the speed limit currently. And it will tell you what it is in real time on that screen, which is quite good. Speed limit relative, absolute. So it'll warn you if you're veering away from the speed limit. I like it on relative because obviously speed limits change everywhere you go in the city. Forward collision warning, I have it on late because if I have it too early, I know that it'll just go nuts if it gets anywhere too close to an obstacle. So I leave it on late. Early does that, it'll be very sensitive, and if you're anywhere near a vehicle, it'll go off. Automatic emergency braking, that sounds like a good thing to have, so I've left that on. Service and reset, these are blocked out. Service mode, okay, I might try that one day because when I wash the car, it's hard to get the wipers off the screen, so maybe that's what that's good for. Factory reset, I think I'll leave that one. Manual's also available in digital format. You can read through all those things if you like. They're pretty much everything I've told you already. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much more for the screen. You can pretty much control the whole car from this area, particularly in the settings area. So that's it, guys. That's the Tesla Model S center console screen. It's the heart of the vehicle. You can set and configure anything you like from the screen. And that's one of the biggest benefits and features of this car. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day wherever you are. And as always, happy charging. Hey, thanks for watching, and thank you for helping us to bring the electric vehicle revolution to Australia. If you've enjoyed our videos, please take a moment to hit subscribe. We really appreciate it. If you're close to buying a brand new Tesla, then lucky you. Use one of our promo codes on screen to unlock special goodies from Tesla. Happy charging!